Evening, y'all. Oh, shit. Well, I have it written down on a piece of paper, but I can still explain it straight from memory of the dream I had of a movie of an old, man, I'm telling you, it's so close to it, I'm pretty sure it's in one of the rarities of the cartoons of X-Men that used to come on. You know, it was the Rogue, Remy LeBeau, and Rogue and his Bayou, Remy's Bayou family and his true love, right? And Remy has blonde hair, and he has this big old star necklace that's really cool, right? And, you know, he's all tore out of hell. This is after Professor Xavier sent him to take care of these orphans after the Bayou attack. See, Remy left after the Bayou attack because Remy lost the love of his life. That pretty little blonde-headed, crazy Cajun girl, and Rogue accidentally killed her. And like Rogue didn't. Rogue was framed by Rogue and Remy. Like Remy killed her. Remy killed the blonde-headed lady for Rogue. Like Remy was the one who chose to do that shit. Remy LeBeau, who is Shooting Star from X-Men Rogue. X-Men Rogue is the X-Men team that have to go back in time and kill a set loop of people so they don't fuck everything up. They was one stupid and crazy enough team to just go and stop all the trouble. All right? And that's what X-Men Rogue, the movie, is going to be about, right? And the dream is I was sitting there dozing off, talking to that blonde-headed girl. And I think she was in the movie, but she was like real life. And she said, Remy, when I look at you, I see the sun, the moon, the stars, and the sky. And when you look at me, you see me until you see her. And then he just looks at her and he shakes his head and fades off. Because I know he said, why don't you stay? And then she looks at him and she fades off. And that was like the last words they said the night she snuck in to see him. Because he snuck out to see her. And she was going to turn herself in and become an X-Man. You know what I mean? She really was. But she was crazy, and you know what I mean? Even worse, Rogue is crazier, and Rogue was crazy in love. Rogue was wrath, alright? Alright, Rogue's just like, Rogue can change her hair color. Rogue and Shooting Star, Remy LeBeau, can change their hair color, any color they want, you know what I mean? And, anyways, Remy's sitting there raising this group of orphan kids, right? And he even has his card deck, dude. These are like little thieves and everything, you know what I mean? He teaches them how to exercise, but still how to be knowledgeable of counting. And he teaches them to count cards. He teaches them all about gambling and sneaking it, you know what I mean? If you get away with it, you get away with it, you know what I mean? You got it. But like he's always catching them with his cards. He'll throw his cards and smack their hand. They're like, how do you do that, teacher? He's that guy just got a trick at it, you know what I mean? But yeah, he's playing with those kids, man. Just a teacher, a good teacher, you know what I mean? But when she died, you know what I mean? Like when the love of his life died, that blonde-headed girl, it really messed him up. And Rogue kissed him high as hell. You know what I mean? But Rogue kissing him high as hell was Rogue wrath testing herself to see if she loved Remy LeBeau and Remy LeBeau loved her. And Rogue can touch people if she takes this opiate medication that makes her loopy. But she loses her feelings, you know what I mean? Her feelings go numb, so she can be in touch with whatever she wants. She gains control over herself by losing the feeling. And her and Remy, Shooting Star, are lovers indeed. And through the movie, the movie X-Men Rogue, they're going to be making love and whatnot. But anyways, the X-Men Rogue team is Deadpool, Wolverine, Rogue, Gambit. Alright? Straight killers. I mean, they kill X-Men and Brotherhood. Like ones that's gonna be causing problems, like Mystique. In this movie, Mystique's gonna die. Professor Xavier's gonna die. Is that Remy's girlfriend's gonna die? Yeah, Remy is the one. The shooting star is the one who chooses to blow her up so he don't lose Wrath. That was one of his thoughts. He thought he was getting ready to save her because he always wanted to save her. And instead of saving her, he chose to save Wrath. He chose to set Rogue up because Rogue set herself up. And was because she wanted him to, find his true love. And he chose her in a heartbeat. When he found out Wrath was in trouble, shoot, no, he charged that star. Boom! Blondie, you gone. You know what I mean? She's my forever. They made themselves, and then they gave themselves the choices. And see what they choose. And anyways, that's the people that get caught up in. It's Kitty, Shadowcat. Yeah, that's the other one. Shadowcat's the other one. And it's Professor Xavier, Shadowcat, and Mystique. All of them have to be taken out at just about the same time, right? So they can get out. And then Remy has to go back to when, like a few months before that. They're time travelers. They travel through time, and they work with this lady on a starship. She has like a white suit and blonde hair and like a mask. The mask is it's a holographical mirror. She has a holographical mirror in front of her that has light, and she commands her holographical mirror with thought. And it looks like a light, but anyways, yeah. It's really cool. Cyclops is actually working on the team, right? And this is just so funny because this mission, Deadpool goes as Gwenpool. Alright, Deadpool gets a bottom jaw mouthpiece cover, fake boobs he can play with, feel, and talk to. Yeah, they do the whole gig. And he gets the stuff himself. You know what I mean? He has to. That's how he got into the get Professor Xavier. He's the one who kills Professor Xavier. The way to kill the most powerful mutant in the world is to put a homosexual, transgender dude pretending to be a young student pretending to be a girl that's actually a boy that's actually helping themselves to a personal orgasm while he's passing by as a professor drooling. And then his X-Men start dying. Kitty does, Shadowcat. The last thing he wants to know about is this young man who was getting himself off in this time of crisis. And he was like, what all can you do? Professor Xavier was like, I can do all kinds of things. He's like, can you freeze people? Really? He says, yeah, but it usually takes about an instant. And by the time he gets the instant out, psst, he was taking the time to explain it while he was explaining it. Deadpool done what Deadpool does. See, Deadpool's walking outside. Everybody's fighting each other. The commando, which you can make him Drake, where he uses the outside claws. But, that's if you want to. He can use his middle claw. He just don't pull it out during a fight so he don't say it's him. He's in disguise. Like he has a claw cloud of all three claws of fighting the real Wolverine. He'll have a scar of the real Wolverine across his face, but he'll have a fake eye back there that's giving orders, and in the scar is actually a computer. You know what I mean? So, like it's a whole digital eye cast. And he's the commando. And he's thicker, too, than Wolverine, boy. He's meaner, too, boy. He's, Wolverine finds him in a bar later on. He's sitting there smoking cigars, talking to that guy, drinking a beer. Wolverine walks in and goes, do I know? And the bigger one just puts the cigar out right there on his hand and looks him in the face and twists it, and Wolverine's eating it up. He pulls his hand back and says, do you what, bub? And his hands started to heal, and Wolverine's dressed in this military uniform. He says, it's a mutant, a filthy mutant. One of them took my eye. Oh, man. And that bartender pulls up a big club, right? He smacks it down on that bar table, and he says, hey, you know what I mean? Get out, mutant. And the cigar was crushed, right? And Wolverine Commander, looks at it and goes, a filthy mutant, he messed up my cigar. Does anyone have a shaver? and Wolverine comes out those claws to be smart ass, you know what I mean? And then the real Commando Wolverine comes up with, I mean, he baited him, dude. Cut his, he cut his cigar and then come in, hit him in the rib, stuck his cigar up, and his other hand come back and punched him with the hand that had the cigar and let out the center blade. Not the out two, just the center one. The center one, the longest one, went up and punched his heart underneath his ribs. I mean, like, where he couldn't fight him because he had to heal from a death wound, and they could actually lift him up and walk by him, you know what I mean? Carry him out to the edge of the bar. And then he couldn't go back in because he was fighting him. Hell, he was already off his feet. I mean, the commander killed him. He also killed him in the fight and knocked him down with the same move, basically, because he left those 2 claws out, right? And he was fighting with the 2 claws in and out, you know what I mean? Bam, 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 right? And he says, here's one I taught myself years ago. And he come in square for the eye with the center one, you know, right in the back of the brain, man. And then he hit the aluminum on the back of the brain and send him blind. Not only knock him out, kill him, cut it all to mash, and he had to do a real reset, dude. Shoots his face off. I mean, not shoot his face off, you know what I mean? He runs that middle claw all the way back, dude, and then bounces it off the back of the wall and sends him flying. He don't get back up for a while. Like he puts Wolverine out for, like, you know what I mean? Wolverine has to heal his brain. That's a serious injury. Like, it takes minutes or even hours. I know, probably hours. Yeah. I would say hours for brain injury. I guess that's what caused him to lose part of his memory. No, it was the brainwashing. But anyways, you know, it's the same thing with the heart. That's how Wolverine figured out what he was. And then when they were sitting there, Gambit's healing. Gambit's protecting these kids. Like, he's sitting there being a teacher. He's healing the old mutants, you know what I mean? He's making better mutants. He's healing the kids to be X-Men, to be trainers, to be fighters, you know what I mean? And like these robots that are made of plastic, not metal. Plastics and plastic fiber optics. So, like, Magneto's daughter or anyone else Magneto-wise can do nothing with them. But they're plastics, and Gambit can make plastics go boom. And these plastics are so fiber optic that they actually have high sensor to Gambit's energy. So, like, when Gambit makes these circuits go boom, they go whoop, boom. You know what I mean? Like, Gambit's energy is their kryptonite. You know what I mean? And that's how shooting stars work. He can sit there and charge a star even longer, and it'll spiral in that energy and go really boom. Like, I'm talking C4, devastating star rupture, even depending on if it's like a 10-second hold. But he also has a special ability to flip it up, and it shoots blades out the top that he charges that don't go boom, but they go psh. You know what I mean? Shooting star, he can charge them to go faster. He can make them go faster than a bullet, you know what I mean? Like a shooting star. I mean, he can really throw one as fast as a shooting star. But that's what kills that lady, Rogue. I thought Rogue stole the power, but Rogue couldn't steal power. She was just seeing if she loved Gambit. Like, Wrath gave Rogue her first dose of the medicine that makes her feelings go away. And she really was telling Remy the truth that she didn't blow up, and Remy called her a liar. He's like, I don't love you, Rogue. I was trying to help you heal, that you could be loved. He said, I loved her. You know, you killed her. She was turning herself into an X-Men. Yeah, she was giving herself up. She made the same thing that her brother made the mistake of killing some kids on a boat. And that just did not set well with Remy. He wouldn't do it. Remy really didn't like killing anyone, period. He was always in, you know what I mean, robbing them, but never killing no one. And then when the kids were involved, he couldn't do it, dude. And then she was like, they're just Norm kids, after she stopped him from saving the kids. And then the kids blew up. And she was like, see, now it's over. It's fine. And he was like, what do you mean? And she was like, well, they're just norms. So now you can come back to the gang. He said, no. You know, no, ever. I'm not down for that shit, and I won't never be. I mean, he left. That's why he left that gang and went to the X-Men, because he wanted to make amends for the shit that happened. The stuff that happened. Sorry. He wanted to make amends for what happened. And then she, when her brother dies fighting him, and Gambit and Cyclops and the X-Men, it was just a loop-de-loop accident. Rogue was fighting his love. His love was losing to Rogue. Rogue was getting ready to bust her chops. And her brother's losing badly. Like, he's losing badly. Gambit knows he's getting ready to backstab him. Like, he's got a card on him. He's doing a quick double draw, trick draw. He would trick draw with those kids all the time. He was practicing it. You know, just not throwing a card so hard to hit you, just where it touch you and blow up. You know what I mean? He ain't got to throw them hard. He can just like toss one straight up, hit you in the jaw, and it's gonna blow up still. You know what I mean? It's a trick draw. And he had him with his trick draw, dude. But Cyclops didn't know he had a trick draw. They were new X-Men, you know what I mean? Cyclops didn't know how Remy fought. And this guy was getting ready to backstab Remy. Alright, and Remy was playing a trick shot him, and Remy not playing it, Remy trick shot him right up under the chin. But Cyclops seen him coming in with a knife to backstab Remy and shot him in the back of the head with a high head bolt. You know what I mean? It was an accident. The dude lost his head, literally, like everything snapped and wobbled. Yeah, he killed him. You know what I mean? And that's how they got away, because the X-Men really don't approve of killing. It was an accident. Like, Gambit had that fight, and Cyclops didn't even need to get in on it, but Cyclops got in on the fight when the dude was going to backstab him. And Remy had it. He trick shot him. And when he trick shot him, he hit him, you know what I mean? Because this dude was a good fighter. He needed to knock him out and stop that fight and then just stop everything. But Cyclops was like, you ain't backstabbing him. He hit that big high charge to bust his head and spin him around double time. Well, Gambit was spinning him around backwards double time. So he got hit with 2 double time shots, dude, under the chin and the back of the head. Bam! And killed him. You know what I mean? And then, you know what I mean, Rogue and Hug get upset, and he's telling Rogue to get away, right? And then she goes out the next night and kidnaps almost all the kids from town. And then when she does, she gets all of her men together, and they're going to surrender. They set up a bomb to where it'll go off, and they'd have to fight them, because they was going to see if there's worth being X-Men, you know what I mean? Like if they could really fight, because they talked about being a team, so they was going to see if they could fight. And, I mean, it was a simple fight. Hell, it was just Rogue and her, and, you know what I mean? They don't play games. And then the X-Men come up from behind. Cyclops still had the bag. Wolverine was still there. It wasn't a challenge, you know what I mean? It was a sit the fuck down. And you know what I mean? Don't get back up. Wolverine didn't even have to use his claws. He just used adamantium knuckles. Most of the time, Wolverine don't really use his claws in a fight. He's just mean, you know? And adamantium. But, it went all wrong when Wrath went in and asked. Wrath went in before all this was happening, all right? Because she said she was staying with Remy, and she told Remy he couldn't save her because Remy, all he ever wanted to do was save that girl, because he said he'd had a chance, you know what I mean? And he used that chance to save love his life when Rogue was on that robot. And he told her about that, and they became Shooting Star and Wrath when they got to know each other back again. And all that happened, and then once they meet Wolverine and Deadpool's right there, and they're like, hello, and then y'all just kind of look at each other, and Cyclops even starts laughing. You know what I mean? He says, where the hell am I? You know what I mean? But Cyclops is actually on the ship helping the Star Lady. They kill all of the problems. Shadowcat's a time traveling, just weirdo. All right, when the robots get hurt, it's over. Mystique is an identity, sacred energy. When the robots get hurt, it's over. Professor Xavier's a time bomb ticking down. It's got to be over. You know what I mean? And Deadpool gets Professor Xavier, so nobody in actual X-Men have to deal with it, because Deadpool's walking out with Gwenpool, you know, and they're all fighting in the X-Men, and everybody turns around and looks at Gwen because she was getting herself off in class. Like, Deadpool was... And just drooling, you know what I mean? He got rough, and the Storm was like, Gwen, what are you doing? She's like, hold on, I gotta get this out. He's doing the same thing when Professor Xavier was there and looking at him. And then Professor Xavier just knew that it was actually a dude doing himself while looking at him. You know what I mean? And Shooting Star was like, I'm in here. I'm getting ready to do the job. Deadpool's just like, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. So he's dressed as Gwenpool, and he was talking to him. He's like, I got it. I got it right here. I'm with the package. You look at old Deadpool like that. Yeah. I know it's sick and crazy, but anyways, this is at like the middle of the movie, like when they're going back, because I just fast forward to when Gambit saves her with that shooting star. Like, they don't even know it's Gambit. Gambit has glasses on, his hair's dyed blonde, and he's just a teacher with these students who are mutants, and like these robots are trying to catch him after this group of rogues and robots trying to take over the world. These rogues show up and just kill all this crazy people. And then X-Men are fighting these robots still, and they meet Remy, and Remy has a star, and one of the big robots come in, dude, and start fighting the X-Men. And to save Rogue's life, Remy has to use that shooting star that he gave himself after, because see, Remy seen like a shooting star come down with a barrel, and Rogue kissed Remy and got his powers, he thought. But she didn't. She wasn't able to get no powers because Wrath gave her. She gave herself the low dose to make it where she could kiss him and see if she actually loves him. Because she told him that he was coming. She made sure that she knew that she was coming in between Remy loving someone. Like, you know what I mean? She wanted to know that, look, you know, he loves that girl right there. Are you sure you're going to pay the consequences for him loving it? Do you even love him? You know, do you want to know if you love him? So she gave herself a dose so she could see if she loves him. And when Rogue kisses him for the first time, she felt those sparks. She knew she loved him. And she just wallowed his mouth. She ain't never kissed no one before. And because Wrath, and you know, when Wrath gave it to her, Rogue was like, well, how's it work? And Rogue just wallowed her mouth, you know what I mean? She's like, he likes it like that. You know what I mean? And like when Rogue kissed him and he realized he was starting to like it, she just kept on going and she just fell in love with him. And he was like, Rogue, are you high? And she's like, yeah. And he was like, what are you doing? She's like, all I know is I love you. You know what I mean? And then she went to go save those kids. Well, she picked up the bomb from those kids and threw it back at the girl before the time was even up. You know what I mean? But Remy seen her kiss him, and Remy seen that ball, that stuff explode like his powers. And Remy's been high before, and when she went off, he asked her, Rogue, are you high? And she said, yeah, I'm pretty sure, but hold on. And then he sees the shooting star coming down from there, and he was making a wish, you know what I mean? This didn't happen. And when that shooting star hits that barrel and hits her, and it goes, boom, it's his magic. He knew it was his magic. A high detonation of his magic, which he thought Rogue would do if she was high and fighting. And he thought he killed her, not Rogue. He thought he killed, you know, he helped Rogue kill her. You know what I mean? So he blamed Sin and Rogue and her dying on himself the whole time for not being strong enough to tell everybody how he thought it would work, and taking out her brother. He took all this responsibility on himself all these years and laid out on the X-Men and took care of these kids. Well, he's still taking care of his kids and exercising every day and doing his acrobats. He dyed his hair blonde. He wears cool little glasses so he can do his thing with the kids and keep his eye on them. You know what I mean? And they don't see the black eyes, you know, with the red pupils, because, you know what I mean, his power showing off of how many times he's used it, how powerful it is, and like his eyes are even stronger, so he has to wear special glasses to keep him from showing everybody when his power sets off. But he still practices his power and everything, you know what I mean? He helps them destroy the robots, and then, you know what I mean, they come in with this, Deadpool's going to have a movie with a Star Lady ship and a time-traveling device. And then, you know what I mean, Gwenpool is going to be invented when he can't be Deadpool, and nobody needs to know what he's doing, what that person, because, you know what I mean, when you're time traveling, you got to pretend that the person you are isn't there, you know what I mean? You can't be there, you know what I mean, but someone else can be there that has your DNA code and another name. You know what I mean? But, yeah, and so he goes as Gwenpool. A female version of him. That's a total burp. And he stops it where he usually stops it. And the breast, he can feel them. So, you know what I mean? It's a total perv outfit for him. And it disguises his voice, and it's just, it works for him. All right, I'm serious. It's crazy. I know. But, yeah, when he saves her with that shooting star thing, they're like, where did you get that? You know what I mean? Because it was on the same shooting star things that killed Kitty. And Shooting Star, Shooting Star, Wrath, and the Commander Drake, I guess, fought the X-Men and beat their butt. And like I said, Commander Drake knocked Wolverine out with, like, here's a move I was taught myself years ago. He was fighting with the two claws, and he was losing, swinging, and playing games. You know what I mean? He come in with the two claws right there. You know what I mean? The coming uppercut. And Wolverine was just so cocky and headstrong. This was another man that, because they're duking it out. He comes in and just knocks his own, noggin. Yeah, and knocks Wolverine out. Wolverine can't fight. So then Drake's able to go to another X-Men and maintain while they're waiting on everyone to get their in, because, Mystique has to get her in, Kitty has to get her in, and Professor Xavier has to get his in. Because they're just threats that would make, and a lot more people would die that could survive and build a better future. So, they just, they had to be their leader spot, and then they were taken care of. Right there by a mutant team, and they realized what they were when they meet the Commander Neighbor, and Deadpool meets Wolverine, and they already knew each other, you know what I mean? But, Wolverine was always suspicious, even when he knocked himself out. You know what I mean? All of them kind of were. Like I said, she helped Rogue find love. He blows up his own girlfriend and sets Rogue up. And he leaves himself a shooting star to save Rogue's life. They made their own time-traveling team, like the contract. They signed a contract with the devil to make a better life for the future of mutants by not siding with any sides. And when, like, there's an eternal threat coming in that's going to use your factors against you, that they just went and bled him out. And Professor Xavier was a really bad bleed out. Everybody's seen his ending when he gets Alzheimer's and all those head diseases, you know what I mean? And he's a hard person to take out, and about the best way to take him out was in his younger years with a young teenage male student that's dressed like a female, getting himself off and looking at the professor while he walks by. Professor don't want to read him. Professor don't want to know about it. I mean, he's talking like a girl. Professor don't even know why he's talking like a girl. Why he's even being semi-forward. And there's a blowing up over here, and they need his help. And she's like, well, oh my God, let me go with you. I'm scared. You know what I mean? He's like, well, stay behind me. You know what I mean? They're going there. And she's like, can you really stop people? And he's like, yeah, well, how long does it take you? And he starts to explain. And she whops his head off. Professor Xavier did not want to know what was going on, and that's how you assassinate Professor Xavier. I know it's sad and it's sick. It sounds cruel. But they assassinate Professor Xavier because he's a threat. And they assassinate him with Gwenpool. Oh, because, Deadpool was willing for anything. I mean, and it takes out one of the strongest X-Men and endangered, people. They get Mystique and they get Kitty. And then they create themselves. Like Wolverine has to take care of themselves, and then Wrath has to make herself. And then Shooting Star has to choose. Like, he can save that girl, his love, or if he does, he loses Wrath. And like, he don't even hesitate. You know what I mean? He blows the girl up. You know what I mean? And he leaves himself a shooting star. You know what I mean? He says, Wrath, you're crazy, because when you make a time loop, you die. And she went to make a time loop for him, so he wouldn't never hurt. And that's why she was always making love with him. He kept saying, I think we can save her. And she was like, I'm telling you, we can't, because I've tried before. And because she's tried to save him, she tried to make herself know, are you in love with him? You have to know that. Are you in love with him? And she gives her to see if she's in love with him. And then for her to stay with him, because she is in love with him, he has to decide, look, is this the life you really want? And it wasn't no hesitation, because it's the life he lived. He was in love with Rogue. Rogue was cool for him. Rogue was great for him. You know what I mean? That's the way it was. They made themselves. And in the future, I know it was the anime was, I don't know if it was on point with the story about Deadpool in it, but the way I seen it was, oh yeah, when Gambit's fighting, he finally, because the students, he's protecting the students and fighting the bots, and he's bad, dude. Like, he ain't even using his power. He's been training. Like, he wasn't giving up an X-Men position. He was training these kids to be future X-Men. He was taking it seriously. His job, protecting these kids and raising them to be better kids, you know what I mean, he took that seriously. And he had good students, you know what I mean? Like they were setting up a defense to get the other teachers and everyone out, coming back and giving him orders. You know what I mean? His higher grade students, yeah. Yeah, like his school wasn't getting ransacked. Boy, they attacked his school because his school was one of the greatest threats to the robots. Yeah. Professor Xavier sent Gambit out to make a better army of mutants with the new technology, of mutants that were little hell rats that, you know what I mean, couldn't obey the law. And again, he was a counter. He made the kids hustle and everything. In their neighborhood, like, they had to hustle money, you know what I mean? They had to run card games. They had to run it. The older ones, without causing any troubles, while keeping troubles out the city. Yeah. They worked in the city, and they kept fights out the city, while no deaths are happening, while letting the city run like a city. Like, he was training them how to help maintain the balance. And those were the biggest threat against the robots in the robot army war. When the robots come to attack the mutants that are not stoppable, that robot attack is always there. When it attacks, it kills a lot of mutants because of Mystique and Kitty. All right? And Professor Xavier goes brain mad, you know what I mean? And, Rogue has to make herself because she loved Gambit, and when they went to go take out these three, she had a heart to try to make sure, and they got stuck because Shooting Star has to take out her. You know what I mean? They had to start their own story and take care of each other. Everybody had a job, and they went back to the ship. And Remy was like, I know I get to save her. And he's on that hillside waiting to save her. Dude, and then Rogue does her thing, and then she falls out and tells Remy she loves him. You know what I mean? Shooting Star, and she hits the ground. He hears that. He was watching Rogue throw that damn barrel, and he was like, Wrath, you did not. I mean, he didn't hesitate. He's like, you didn't. He already knew what she did, because what they was doing, the way they was telling, he knew it. My God, as soon as he figured it out, he was charging that star. That was one of his fastest stars. He didn't hesitate. He loved her. He was all in. That's going to be a good movie, dude. It was really cool. But yeah, anyways, the X-Men are showing up. You know what I mean? And Rogue comes in in boots, right? And she hits the ground. She's like, sir, you need to get out of here. No, first it was Storm. And she was like, sir, you really need to get these students and get out of here. And Rogue looked at her. Remy looked at her, and he says, with high heels, these things teleport, and he knocks like 4 of them out. While she's sitting there talking, telling him to get out the way, they come and attack her. He knocks 4 of them out, and he's like, and you're out here with high heels? What are you supposed to do in high heels? You know what I mean? And then Rogue comes in and saves him from an arm that reaches out. You know what I mean? And she smashes it in the ground, and he sees Rogue again. You know what I mean? And he'd been dreaming about that girl, but Rogue grew up. Rogue wasn't a little girl anymore. Rogue was a lady. You know what I mean? Remy was just a little older, and he disguised himself. You know what I mean? He put blonde hair on. He keeps glasses. He looks like a teacher with a star right there on his neck. He's shooting star teacher. You know what I mean? He's like, go down. He's like, I'm a shooting star. You know what I mean? He didn't even know, dude, because like I said, when she blew up, the Remy went up there to that mountain, and he was just looking there where the big blast spot. He was like, yeah, man, that was a blast spot. You know, that was my fault. And this blonde guy comes, no, it wasn't blonde, it was a red, no. It was a different color hair, dude. No, green hair, yeah. Green or black hair, like one of the real color. It wasn't blonde hair. No, it was blonde. Blonde hair dude comes by and stands beside him and was like, you probably ain't gonna believe me, but you're actually gonna fall in love again. No, he says, you probably ain't gonna believe me. No, he said, I've seen that look before. Maybe look there and he goes, oh, yeah, you probably haven't. He looks over there and he says, you probably ain't gonna believe me, but that's the look of a broken heart right there. The problems you caused, and you ain't never gonna love again, but you don't know you're gonna love stronger, faster, and better than you ever could again. And Remy looked at her and goes, You're right, so I don't believe you. She says, well, that's a bet for you then. And he says, what? He says, here, when you find that woman, she's going to be more in love with, he says, there's going to be a big-ass robot, and you're going to need to save her life. And the only way you'll ever be able to do it is to press these two buttons here, charge it for maybe 1 to 3 seconds, and then snap it like this right here and hold it for 3 to 5, and aim for the head, not the wrist, or you'll kill her, your true love. And you better, he says, I'm only giving you one, yeah. And it's a bet. And Gambit goes to look around, and he's like, well, what am I supposed to do? He says, don't touch him. It'd make a good necklace. If you ever give up on everything and don't think I'm right, it's a good bet. You know what I mean? And then Professor Xavier sends Gambit, leaves the X-Men because he's messed up because she died. He blamed himself. He put that on. You know what I mean? And he went off, and Professor Xavier sent him to that school. Well, he had those black eyes, and his first group of kids that he trained as him. But then he realized that his image became such a badass image that he couldn't be that image no more. That he got blonde hair, clean cut. He wears glasses. He's a sophisticated, legitimate teacher who theoretically breaks down the criminal system, how to run in the system, how to keep your kids in check, and how to keep the balances of it while keeping it fun. Like it's just a really fun thing for his students to help out local authorities, local missing habits, and local needed things done with the, mutant powers or anything. Local help units, for the mutant kids. And if they, like My Hero Academy, they have to have license, an upgrade version. Because, he works them for years and just becomes a better teacher. It's like Rogue grows up. Boy, when she rings that bell and that hand coming in on him, and she's like, sir, you need to get out of the way. And he's like, where's Magneto? And everybody says, what? Because his daughter's around. They're plastic. He says, oh, shit, really? And then that's when he grabs one's hand, kicks it in the head, throws it, and it blows up, and they're looking at him, and then he jumps and does a backflip cartwheel. He just touches like 5 of them, dude, and they're blowing up. And they're like, what are you? They wasn't a teacher, it was an actual mutant. And he takes his glasses off, and Rogue says, Gambit, you're blonde-headed? He says, I'm blonde-headed. That's all you got to say at me after all these years. I'm blonde-headed. And you're fighting in high heels. It was a dance party. she got you in high heels, Oh, yeah, Jean Grey. They have to kill Jean Grey, too. That's the other one. Yeah, Jean Grey's got to go. And Magneto's daughter comes in high heels too, and a couple other high heel warriors that use the telekinetic powers and magic and whatnot. They don't have to. They fly. So they don't get around too well. But like Rogue, she does combat boots, There's a few of them that do. Actually, they probably some in mixture of that. Some of them in the fight and the other ones in high heels. You know what I mean? It would make a great movie, dude. It was a great dream. A great dream. I don't know what anyone thinks, man, but come on, tell me what you think. And again, I'm pretty sure this is actually an X-Men cartoon, but this is a real version of it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, Drake would be a good, I don't know who Drake is, but it'd be good to mix in the storyline. Commander Drake, because I put the Commander. But he could be Commander Drake, Deadpool could be Gwenpool, Wrath is Rogue, and Shooting Star is Gambit. And like when they meet the Star Lady, or actually no, when they meet, because see, when he throws that shooting star killed Kitty, right? And then there was a lady killed Mystique, right? And then Deadpool kills Professor Xavier, and then what's her name? Jean Grey goes crazy, but Drake done killed Wolverine, and he jumps over and gets Jean Grey too, and like they just wipe out the X-Men main party, and then they get hit by a robot fight, and then they find Gambit, and they're like, and Cyclops is one of the only major survivors, you know what I mean? And Rogue just hangs her head, you know what I mean? And Cyclops busts out laughing. He has a psychological breakdown that these idiots actually killed the professor, Jean Grey, Kitty, and like like they assassinated him. They wiped him out in one go. The Professor Xavier, you know what I mean? Cyclops had a psychical breakdown and just started laughing. But it'd make a good movie. But like Cyclops is on the starship with the Star Lady. It would be called X-Men Rogue. It was such a good dream. It would be a really good movie, man. I'm telling you what. Be well.